For those of you that, any of you do not know him or haven't heard of him, or okay, you haven't got. I can't remember your website, but he's a tarot deck author and Lenormand, and a fantastic digital artist. You can find him, I think it's ciromarchetti.com, author of the Gilded Tarot, and I have all his decks.
Tarot Dreams?
Yes, and he's going back to sunny Florida tomorrow, where he lives.
Where in Florida?
Boynton Beach. It's about an hour north of Miami.
Oh, okay.
But if you haven't heard or don't know about him and you're interested, especially in digital art and decks, the portrait digital art, they're very, very beautiful.
What's the website again?
Pardon?
What's it?
My name, ciromarchetti.com.
C-I-O-R?
No, C-I-R-O.
C-I-R-O.
M-A-R-C-H-E-T-T-I.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And yes, last time you were here was last year, I think, but you did the presentation.
A year ago already?
It must have been, because it was the last conference. You were at the conference, weren't you?
Yes, that's right.
Are you doing any conference this year? No.
I've retired.
You retired?
Tomorrow.
I don't do them either, but yeah. So, and we had an evening presentation where he brought his material. This time it's basically, you were in London, so just kind of coincided, and it's very nice to see him again. Yes, for those that haven't fed the piggies are basically where the 4 transfers should go. And that's it, really. Okay. Timings and tarot and timings. When I was researching for this, I realized that I actually put myself into something that was bigger than I usually think as a topic, because there are so many interpretations, and while some of them are more popular than others, it's just if you Google it, you come up with so much. The person says this, person says that, website says this, website says that. So I was going to start by just asking, if you were to give timings in the readings for yourself or for others, how do you usually do it? Do you follow your own personal system, or do you follow someone else's?
I was always told that if you think of something, like you're doing something for a reading and they say, how long has it been? And if a figure just comes into your head, you'll be able to say something like, you know, like the 3 of Cups, you go 3, like it would be like if I'm doing a monthly thing, it would be 3 months. Or say, if I'm doing a reading in a month, up to 12 months, I would do,
Just one, yeah.
I didn't
I
get one.
Oh, you don't have one, sorry.
oh, you spent on
So yeah, sorry, you were saying.
and I was just told just to use my intuition.
Cool. So that's more intuition based rather than the system.
yeah, basically.
Anyone else? Viv, I'm asking if you follow a personal system in timings or someone else's.
Sometimes a placement in a reading will give an indication of, like say 6 months, if it's something in the future. And sometimes it can actually be 3 months, that's what I use. But I've only said that, I've forgotten about.
But personally, and speaking just for myself obviously, I actually don't do timings in tarot. And if someone specifically asks, I say, well, this is the reading I'm doing for you, so I would say anything between now and 6 months, because I think that when you go too far into the future, it becomes a bit cloudy. If I have to, because I want to know something in particular, I tend to follow, I mean, a lot of what I found in researching it is astrologically based, and unfortunately I'm not an expert in astrology, so I didn't want to go and talk about something that I literally don't know much about. What I tend to do is follow the common system of seasons, which is highlighted in the handout. Generally speaking, wands represents spring or days, pentacles winter or years, swords autumn or weeks, cups, summer or months. My intuition would is that me?
It's lost.
No, go away.
It's not listening. Sorry,
I just might pick up your.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I won't.
I won't throw your
I was
bag
going to
out.
say, my hero.
Just shut that window if you want.
Might, but
Nice, come back in.
Come on.
Oh.
You're drawn to the flowery pattern.
Yes, the flowers. It's the beauties of live broadcasting, right?
Well,
She likes us. Maybe she wants to learn tarot.
she likes.
She wants a reading, yeah. I'm going to get squashed.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Thank
brilliant.
you.
Thank you very much.
My hero.
No, it doesn't go down.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it flew a long way out.
Oh, okay. Fine. Oh, excitement over. Thank you very much. I got enough to deal with giant spiders at home. No, we don't want wasps. Yeah, so my intuition, I was saying, in relation to these associations with seasons and timing, is that I personally would put swords as winter. Hiya.
We've just started, so just take a seat.
Thank you. Last one. Run now.
Oh, that was one. Okay.
I personally feel that swords would fit winter better. Why? I don't know. Maybe because I go by association with the colors. Mostly in tarot, the swords cards are blue, right? And blue is a cold color. And air. I feel air is colder than earth. I feel earth is warm. Might be neutral for some, but this is how I feel it. And I don't know if it would make a difference or not, but this is the general associations that you actually get. And then, obviously, there are the astrological associations with the air signs, fire signs, water, and earth. And then I found this really cute spread that I hadn't seen before. And I thought, oh, that's okay. I don't know if it's exact or not. I haven't tried it yet. But it's basically saying, shuffle the deck, deal out the cards, stop if you get 2, 3, or 4. So it's only dealing with the minors. And then if you deal 13 cards but you don't get a 2, 3, or 4, the answer is unavailable for now. If you do get 2, 3, or 4, depending on which suit, is telling you basically the month. So if someone's asking, when will I get, or will I get a job any soon, and you get the 2 of Wands, you can say March. Again, I don't really like pinpointing too much. It's almost like it's an exact science, and it's not, is it, really? So, I think someone came up with, but this was about a year ago in another meetup that had nothing to do with timings, with another spread, but I can't remember the person. It might have been Lindsay, but if she comes, I will ask her. Now, do you think that timings have relevance when you do a reading?
Sometimes. Because sometimes the timing comes up even if you're not actively looking for it, I found. You know. And I generally don't like
But then how does it come up for you then?
Well, I used the astrology. So,
Okay.
So when I see it in the cards, that, oh, I'm getting a lot of Capricorn, say, so I'll say it's probably January, you know. So, yeah, like sometimes even if you don't try for it, it comes up. It's like it wants you to tell the person the timing. Don't know if it's the same for you guys in your experience.
Me, I usually go with the seasons, or just ask the cards, when do you think this is going to happen? And then I'll draw 3 cards, and the majority of elements give me the answer. But it's never exact. I never say I can get. I mean, I've had clients asking me, when will I get? I know I'm going to have a job interview. Can you tell me the time and day? No, not really.
It's a simple answer.
I mean, I can give you an approximate, can tell you if it's going to go well, if you're going to get it, but I can't really tell you, yeah, they're going to call you and they're going to tell you to come in tomorrow at 2:30 in the afternoon. It's kind of too specific.
I was always told that you shouldn't give timings because the universe has no sense of timing. So even though you could, people are asking questions, you might have an idea. I'm listening, I just want to shut the door.
Oh, that's better.
And this is when I do spreads using the tarot cards, not with the angels. With the tarot cards, I don't do any more than 12 months because the universe has no sense of timing. So that's what I was told.
So, for example, what would be the difference, you think, in when you do a specific readings, which is a general question, or when you do as I do every year, towards the end of the year, I do myself a wheel of the year reading to see how the next year is going to be. Do you think that has a relation to timing, or do you think that's more like a forecasting type? What do you think the difference is?
I would say you've got some idea because in my mind, I can't give a reading any more than 12 months. So if you're doing a specific spread and you're saying, this is now, and this is in the future will only get for 12 months. So I say, well, this is going to happen within the next 12 months.
Surely it's actually what you want it to be when you're sorting the cards.
You mean the cards are answering
Your question.
in regard?
So you're actually driving it yourself. You're asking your own. You're setting your to a certain extent. You're setting your own. If you do it for yourself, you're setting your own time.
You mean unconsciously or consciously?
Unconsciously, subconsciously.
So, for example, but how do you do that?
You were saying you do a one for the year, but I think you're actually, you've already decided when you do the wheel how you want to interpret it.
That's interesting. So you're projecting,
Yeah.
pretty much on the cards, yeah, which is probably one of the most difficult obstacles to.
Yes.
When you read for yourself, especially, it's not so much.
No,
reading
with
for
other
others.
people it's different. But you were saying you do yourself
It's
a
a huge
yearly
obstacle,
forecast.
you're
You're answering. You could be answering your own questions, or you're timing your own cards.
That is true, and it's true also in terms of interpreting the card, like giving it certain meanings rather than others that you don't really want to see.
Yeah, there's always that, isn't there? But,
but yeah, in terms of researching this, it was huge. So many people do it different ways, and so many people mix the seasons and days with astrological correlations. So, for example, if it wouldn't match with air, then they'll take it that it would take longer. I mean, I couldn't put it all on paper. It would have taken like 10 pages of handouts to put all the different opinions and such. And then I found one blog that actually said, none of them is right, really. Everyone is giving an interpretation, but there is actually nothing written that says that any of them is actually right. So I was very curious to hear today also how other people interact with the cards in terms of timing. Especially when I suppose your point is very valid, especially when you read for yourself. Because I think in a way it's easier to give a timing or an approximation of the timing to a client or to a friend than it is for yourself, especially if the issue is something that's important to you. Also, I couldn't see, apart from this particular spread, I couldn't find any other that actually deal with timings per se. So does anyone has any spread that they use personally for timing, clarifying, or?
I'll make a point. Using, just to change the topic slightly, the Lenormand system, when they use the whole spread, the grand tableau,
Yeah.
timing is indicated more by the distance of the card in question to the significator card. That's how they establish timing. How far it is from the reference point. So I think that they mentioned that she used it within the physical position of a spread, as opposed to the symbol of the card or the suit.
Well, that could be something that we could create actually here today, because
That's really good.
yeah.
That's why when I did when I did the Lenormand deck, I had a cheat to add some extra cards. You know, I did the basic deck to not sort of offend the traditionalists, but I did introduce 4 other cards, and one of them was specifically a time card, so that if there was any grey area or anything that the reader felt needed clarification, then they could sort of like use this additional card to give it more emphasis, because it is clearly very important. I mean, an event in your life, past or future, can obviously be diminished or watered down by how far in the past or how far in the future it's going to be. You know, some traumatic event of yesterday may not seem so traumatic in 5 years' time. You know? And just like, you know, a love affair or financial issues, you know, tomorrow's rent check is far more important to be focused on than, say, your kids graduating from college in 5 years' time. You know, timing it gives it a nuance of importance and attention, you know, and relevance. I think. I mean, it's one of the. It's a perspective that can't be overlooked.
It's very good because it's something I haven't actually thought about. Now, bearing in mind that the Lenormand deck has generally 36 cards, and we have 78 in the tarot deck, and also that I suppose all of us use different spreads. I mean, I'm a short and sweet kind of person. I like the 3 cards or 5 cards ones. I'm wondering how could that be applied. And the only thing that comes to mind as you were talking, and you can help me with that, is that humongous spread, the opening of the key.
Yeah.
That's 78.
That's the entire deck.
That's the entire deck. That's the only way that I could think, if you wanted it to do it as the same method, because obviously when you do the grand tableau, it's all the cards out. So I'm making an assumption that you wanted 78 cards, and then you pick a significator in the middle, same way, or wherever.
There's
But I don't know much about that spread, so maybe you can...
Well, that one there's 5 parts to it, and there are 3 astrological parts. So you can actually, like, say, you pick a significator. If your significator's in, say, the 3rd house or something, or in Gemini, then you can say, oh, it's in that part of the year. It's like there's astrology built into the system which you can use. And that's what it is basically.
Creating a spread that could mimic the actual process of the Lenormand in terms of timing. How many of you use significators? You know, even I don't either, but I don't know.
Depends.
Sorry?
Depends on the situation. If it's a person coming in with a specific thing, or if it's, you know, you have to be real flexible.
Yeah, some people use them all the time. I mean, I don't.
I
But
wouldn't be rigid about it.
I wonder if maybe we can come up with a spread that could help that. Now, how many of you know about Lenormand, the Lenormand system? That's going a bit too far. Well, it's more like a divination system in a sense, and it's totally different from tarot, and it's literal. I mean, you read the cards like you would read a story, pretty much. So you can't really do that with tarot, but what you could do is you could still draw 36 cards from the deck quite happily. Assuming that you want to ask a question about an issue of timing, or a client asks, or a friend, you could do that. You could do like a tarot grand tableau. Why not? You've got 78 cards, you still pick random cards, pick 36. The way they're, if I remember correctly, I'm not an expert either, and you might know more than I. It's the significator is in the middle.
Across, 4 down. No, the significator is always you or your querent. You know, there's a man and a woman card, and that can
be anywhere.
Yeah, but randomly positioned.
So
it could be the first card, or it could be right in the middle, and then everything references to that. That is your.
So if you pick a Queen of Cups, then that,
So then the timing would be whatever card, you know, if it was like, well, once again, it depends on the spread. You'd have to sort of like use the spread that gives you sufficient flexibility that you can literally have distance, physical number of cards away from that significant. Because time is also another sort of like the other edge of the coin of distance. So I mean, I'm going on a journey tomorrow that's going to take me 10 hours. But is that in a traffic jam around the M25, or is it all the way to Florida? You know, they're interconnected. You know, so they need clarification. You know, I'm going on a long journey, but because it literally is physically far away from you, from my job, from my family, or is it just a long way away in terms of convenience? You know, is the journey one of I want to be back in 3 months, you know? or because I'm living in Miami. The event that we are discussing, you know, should I go for this interview? When am I likely to have a promotion or not? You know, that's timing, and the distance of the potential goal, you know, more money, more promotion, more satisfaction, that distance, that timing away from where I am now is what the spread would help clarify. So if you are really into the job because of the future prospects, then evaluating its value would depend also on how long you think you'd have to wait to achieve that goal. How long do you have to wait for your lover to say yes? Or how long do you have to tolerate something before you say this relationship isn't? Yeah.
But is that more actually physical time or steps you have to accomplish to actually get to the end? Because you could do if there's 5 steps to actually accomplish before you get your end result. You could do that in a day, or you could do it in 6 months. With the cards actually, it's more about the steps, isn't it, than the actual timing itself.
Well, I think it would also depend on the question and the purpose of the reading. I mean, to put it bluntly, if the querent was asking, listen, should I do this? What would be the conclusions of this action? Then, with all due respect, it isn't a universal sense of timing. They want something more specific, and maybe you can, through, well, I repeat, in Letterman it's just easier because it's a far more simpler system. And, you know, there's literally a card with a ship on it to signify journey. How far, if that was like 2 cards away from your significator, maybe you are talking about tomorrow.
Oh, I see, okay.
If it's right at the end of the road, it's like, you know, like next year.
A long way ahead.
So that's a far more simple system.
And I think
but people are adapting it back to tarot.
I think you could apply it to tarot. It would take some thinking. It would take some definite thinking, because some of the cards have a lot of movement, like the Chariot. So if you'd have something like that, you'd think faster, wouldn't you? I mean, I would. But what I'm thinking now, as you guys are talking, is how to adapt a spread in terms of. But I'll think about something.
Immediate one comes to me as spiral.
Pardon?
Some sort of spiral.
You wouldn't need. The thing is, I'm thinking if you wanted to do it the same way, like Chiro was saying, the significator could come out in any path, but that's because they're using only 36 cards, so you draw them all. You wouldn't need to do that with 78. If you drew out and picked your significator and put it down, then you would give it the position, so that's not quite good. It'd have to be coming out of its own accord.
Yeah. Well, that will be the first question, isn't it? Do you take the significant array out, or do you
don't?
Use just to come out naturally?
So either you use all the deck, the whole deck, 78, see what the significator is, maybe that's the best way.
Yeah.
And then take the cards around it. So if the question is about a specific timing question, you see the Chariot, or you see something, or you see the Handman, for example. I'll take the Handman as a low card regardless, if you kind of apply it to tarot. And you say, well, yeah, but maybe, and then you kind of read it as a story. That's very interesting. I'm going to try that.
Well, the handband could be also used as a reference point of being the middle of whatever the time and issue is, because it is, you know, it's the middle of the fool's journey. You know, it's number 12 or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
sort of dyslexic for numbers, but it is halfway through the Fool's journey. If you see the major arcana as being his road to, you know, the Fool's road to enlightenment, the Hangman is sort of the resting point halfway there. You know, so that could be a useful point for representing the present, and then everything else is a past and future from there.
I'm trying to find out one of your hands, man, but I don't know if I can get
Well, the one that would be useful. Do you have the legacy app on there?
I do actually.
Because then I kind of cheated with the symbolism.
I think I do.
I've got like 12
got-
columns,
Give me my iPad.
and they are reflected in the water. So between them, they do represent the whole major.
Just to add to that, like, yeah, some majors are like, they are reference points, like the Fool is the beginning and the world is the end. So you can use those cards themselves as like signposts within the reading, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's disappeared. Why is it?
I should have it. 'Cause I
No, I've
didn't
got
pay for it.
the Lennon. I've got the Lenormand app. I know I've got the Gilded app, but it's not here anymore for some stupid reason.
Okay. Here it is. I'll pass it. This particular deck is
Oh, it's
easier
disappeared.
to.
Oh.
I did do a software reinstall, so maybe that's why. I need to go.
So literally on that particular one, see,
So,
if you, it's the whole idea, like I use the metaphor of the hourglass, and so at the beginning the sand is beginning to pour, the last one it has poured, and so here in the middle
It's
horizontal.
just being turned over.
it's on neutral.
Okay. That's interesting.
He's just taking it, he's just hanging there chilling out,
Really balanced.
dropping the coins because that's traditional, but the columns and their reflection, and I'm playing metaphorically with reflecting, not just in a physical sense, but in a metaphysical sense. So it's just like, okay, I'm taking a breather now. You know?
Yeah. Just to taking stock, I guess. Yeah.
but you could apply that quite quickly. So,
Very different from the normal thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've used traditional ones, but in this case it was just, yeah. Oh, actually,
One sort of begins and this one's troubling.
Is there one with the writing?
Sorry?
This one's got writing.
Yeah, he's got writing. It's
I've got it here.
All right.
What I meant by
My app
is
is
like
here.
the extra cover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the rider
You
way.
know, there's one in the
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
No, they actually give you
it's actually
clues.
the
There's a beginner's
yeah.
section, it has
Yeah,
one,
press it.
but
But
it's
this
like, okay, I'll
thing on the top. Wait.
Yeah.